What up? What up? What's going on, Silver Squad? My name is RJ.
I'm Jay.
I'm Dr. J.
Gerald G saw that.
Welcome to the Silver Site. So today we're here to talk about. Damn it! I was about to do it again. Eyes of Wakanda. So I feel like we all have different opinions on this, and I feel like there's not a lot to go off of because apparently no one is talking about this show. Um, so we'll just go around the room. So I want to get the comic book guru's opinion on this first. So Jay, what did you think of Eyes of Wakanda?
I
Honestly,
actually liked it a lot. I,
okay.
I actually did like it. I'll still give it like 7 point, like a 7.8 overall. But I really enjoyed some things what they did in terms of just introducing, giving us a whole different side of Wakanda and just like the beginning of different stages of characters in the universe.
Gerald and Dr. J, what y'all think?
I just thought it was okay. Like I said, I went into it. I tried to be as optimistic as I could without completely just getting stuck in this frame of well, I gotta make sure it's positive. But it didn't really sway me too far one way or the other. For me, probably 6.5. But yeah, there was some choices I think they made animation wise that kind of didn't do a lot for me. And I'll kind of expand on that in a little bit.
So I watched it twice, right? And I feel like my original rating on it was probably a 3.5, but I feel like I went into it with the wrong intention. I thought it was going to be more of a continuous series type vibe instead of more so. I feel like the episodes felt individual. Like I kind of felt each episode was like their own individual like thing. So, but on my second watch, I will say I give it probably like a 6.
Jay, do you feel like
Okay,
it was more like
that's
an
fair.
anthology series or?
What was that?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's
Oh,
what
sorry.
Dr. J.
I was just asking, like, do you feel like it felt like an anthology series or just kind of like individual stories being told from different angles?
So I kind of felt like it was more so individual stories being told. Um, but I think that's why my first rating on it was so low because like I was all into episode 1. Like I loved it. I wanted to see her in episode 2 and 3. I wanted to see how her journey goes as like a war dog. And then when I got to episode 2, I'm like, what's Achilles doing here? I was like, all right, got you. Then I
Yeah,
got to
Yeah,
episode 3. I'm like, oh, a love story of warriors. Okay.
yeah,
So I don't know. Like I'm not mad at it, and I agree with some of the imagery and how the cartoons, but I don't know. I wanted to see a little bit more synergy. Like I needed the characters to meet in some point of their life and like shake hands and cross paths or something like that for a little bit more synergy, in my opinion.
Yeah,
okay,
especially
so for
coming off of
me,
what we saw with what you call it, the Predator,
yeah, that's what I was
Predator.
just about to bring up. Like for
Yeah,
me, I feel like I also went into it fairly blind. I didn't know what I was getting into, but once I got to, like, I was just like you, Dr. J. I thought it was going to be like one continuous story, and then when we got to the second episode, my brain switched to like what Gerald was talking about, and I kind of started seeing it like what is it, Predator of Predators? Is
yeah,
that what it's called?
yes, yeah,
Yeah, that's what my brain switched to. And then I feel like once I kind of let go of what I wanted it to be, it wasn't bad, and I started to enjoy it like Jay did. Um, Definitely, I wish it would have been marketed more, a little more promotion. So I felt like if I would have done, and me personally, if I would have done a little bit more research on what I was about to watch, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more. But I don't think that I wasted my time watching it, and especially being at the episodes were like 30 minutes. Like, yeah, I could do that all day. Yeah, it was an easy watch for me.
yeah, and I think that they did make it accessible for us to at least watch it enough to. It was like too much,
yeah,
and they didn't give us like a whole like lore that was like strictly based on the MCU. It was still kind of its own thing, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate how they kind of like but I still do agree with Jay in terms of like how like they should have crossed like some paths with like some other heroes and stuff. But yeah, I think that it was fine for what it was for the most part.
What was you guys' So, what was you guys' favorite episode, and what was your least favorite episode?
My favorite was 3. I'm not sure why the whole dragon thing did something for me, but uh, I thought that one was cool. I think part of it was because they didn't really I don't think they really realized what they were doing at the time,
Yeah,
and so it ended up, you know, having Iron Fist, which is to me was a anything is going to be a better iteration of what they did on Netflix. But having Iron Fist in there did that for me. And then I think it was then I was then 4 because of course the lead into what happened in the original Black Panther with Killmonger at the very end, and then I think it was 2, then 1 for me.
okay,
I think when they marketed it originally, if I'm remember correctly, I thought that the whole idea of Eyes of Wakanda was going to be from the viewpoint of the Royal Guard, the Dora Milaje, and all that stuff, and just chronicle that.
yeah,
But I think then I might be mixing it up with the actual. They were supposed to do a live action movie and then decided not to do it or
yeah,
whatever. So
yeah,
um, or live action series maybe, and then just scrapped it. But that's what I remember, and so I was kind of like, I don't know how this is gonna play. And then once I saw that there was no real connectivity to any of the episodes, it just started going free for all. So my brain
mhm.
just never could connect, you know. So
I
So,
think no, go
good,
ahead,
good.
Arch.
No, good. I'm still thinking.
No, I think what the MCU does now with their animated shows, they're just kind of teasing that they can do this outside of the MCU. It's kind of like their DC Elseworlds kind of thing. They can play
okay,
around,
okay,
have their own playground. But I mean, there's still a sense though where I'm kind of with you though, Gerald. There should be some things maybe that would make it a little bit more exciting for us that would connect. Especially if like when you're trying to do stuff with time, like how we talked about Eternals before, how
Right.
like they went all the way back to the beginning of time, and then they, not everything connected, but it's still part of the universe. But they can do
Mhm.
stuff like that to make it feel like it is a part of the universe because it doesn't feel like a waste, but it should have been a little bit more involved in the MCU. But I still liked it.
Yeah.
So
I,
for me, oh,
hmm No,
for
good,
me,
good.
my favorite episode is a toss up between 1 and 3 because I feel like those two gave us the most storyline. So it's an even mix. 1 and 3 are my favorite episodes, right? And I feel like 1 and 3 because both of them left me with wanting to know more, like more of the story. However, 2 was probably my least favorite because I 2 is probably my least favorite because I kind of feel like episode 2 gave me nothing. Like I think we all know just like the story of Achilles and everything like that, right? So we all know the story
Okay.
of
Yeah,
Achilles.
yeah,
However, like you spending 10 minutes of the episode saying, I'm not going to tell you why I need this thing, just give it to me. Like, sir, I was just kind of just like, I want to know at this point too. Like, I'm assuming he wanted to bring it back. Like, my assumption is he wanted to bring it back to Wakanda because it had vibranium in it. Is
mhm,
my assumption,
yeah,
right? But there was no like tell me to like there was nothing else. So I feel like it was kind of, episode 2 is kind of a waste in some type of way because I'm just
mhm,
like the fighting scene, everything like that didn't make any sense to me. It was like this seemed like to be your true friend in some type of format. Like you stood beside him and he for real is like, why are you betraying me? And he's like,
yeah,
I can't tell you, but tell me why. Can't tell you, but I'm gonna kill you. Can't tell you.
yeah. But I think
So
that just speaks to like Wakanda over everything. Like
well,
that.
yeah,
That's what I got from it. Like I
yeah.
don't. This was my mission. Like you. They granted, not to say I didn't like you, but like you were part of my mission. And if I got to
Right.
choose my mission over you, like I'm gonna choose Wakanda. All day, every day. So that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, I think I like the first episode. I still like the Noni's path and her journey with her just like trying to take out the first Black Panther and all that. And I think it would probably go episode 3, then probably 2, and then 4. But I do like how everything especially with the time towards the end, and how they show like what would happen if things could go wrong if we don't close this portal. Something could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I really like the ending. It was the climax was I think it was predictable, obviously, but I think it was predictable in the way that it was still kind of interesting and captivating for me, at least. So,
So for me, I feel like it's 4, 3, and then 1 or 2 are interchangeable. I think I like 4 because I'm a lore whore and I love dystopian, anything dystopian. And so for me, I feel like the world is over, we lost. That kind of aspect to me is interesting because I feel like we see Wakanda as these mighty warriors that can never be defeated and things like that. But I enjoyed how we got to see what happens when you're so stubborn that you stick to your values, traditions, and your roles and your rules, at a detriment to yourself. And now you took an L, trying to be closed off to the world. So for me, I feel like 4 was my favorite just because I love how that unfolded. Um, I want to say Iron. Wait, is Iron Fist? Which is I might have
3.
said it backwards. Okay, yeah.
3.
So yeah, 4, 3. Yeah, Iron Fist came in close second just because I just thought it was nice. I thought it was nice to see like that kind of like old school Iron Fist that we, like you said, way better than the one on Netflix. I thought that was great. And like I said, 1 or 2 are interchangeable. What Dr. J said about the Achilles, until you said that, I didn't dawn on me like we already know what was up with that. So that was kind of like, nah, y'all could have found something else. So I do agree with you on that one. 1 for me, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have watched it and not being distracted, but it just really didn't do much for me. Overall, I feel like I feel like they phoned this in. I feel like this had the potential to be great, but something about it, I feel like they weren't behind this project themselves.
interesting. Yeah, I feel like there were some moments that could have been a little different.
Mhm.
Like how the episodes kind of like you said were kind of like interchangeable in some ways.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that there could have been some things they could have done as far as like as Jay was mentioning with spending that time with like hey, we want to know like what are you gonna do in the situation, because it took like a while for them to kind of get to the point.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's enough space to tell the story that they
oh,
did.
my internet.
They did good, but maybe I'm just I don't know. I feel like it was just overall just decent, so I had too much to complain about. But I like the Iron Fist
Yeah,
stuff. That stuff was really good too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gerald?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did this movie
It worked. Do what now?
You
I
said,
said this. Did this show like do anything for anybody? Like, did this like I don't know. Like, did it touch y'all? Did it hit y'all? It just didn't. It just felt flat for me. It wasn't bad. It just I didn't.
okay, so I'll say this before I let Gerald go off. I'm gonna. So I thought what it would be, it was like kind of like the first Black Panther, like with like the Shanga and kind of like the other Panthers that have come before,
Right.
and how it kind of like tell like the family tree
Hmm.
story of the Panthers, and like they would lead up to like T'Chaka, and all
Hmm.
that. That's how I thought the show was gonna go in terms of like pacing and all that. But it was the complete opposite. So
Yeah. I mean, so I didn't really have myself. Like I said, I went in with this. I tried to go in with just not any type of judgment about it beforehand.
Yeah,
So as I watched it, I never felt high or low on it. Nothing excited me about anything I was watching. So except like I said, the only thing that I felt a little something on when I knew what that axe was, but that didn't make it my favorite episode in episode 4. I knew what it was, and I was like, oh, so they got to be leading up to something to do with Killmonger, because
yeah,
and at the very end he's just standing there staring at it like he was at the in the, during Black Panther 1. So for me, nothing really, it just didn't do anything for me, man. It
yeah,
just, I don't know. I tried to be very cognizant of me having a bias about certain pieces of it, but I thought the animation style just didn't, like, it didn't pop. Everything felt like it just blended, you know.
yeah.
It just, I don't know. I almost felt like had they at least made the choice to do something in like maybe say a black and white or something with different animation styles throughout an episode or two, everything just felt like washed. It felt just very. It just didn't work for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
No, I'm with
nothing
you.
stood out.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, yeah, for me too. It didn't really, excite me. It didn't really give me like whoa or anything. It didn't, because I thought it was like I mentioned earlier about the whole family tree and stuff. I thought it was gonna be just a little bit different. Would have had a little bit more importance to something, but it didn't.
Well, the fact that you're dealing with like vibranium and stuff like that, like why was there no more vibrance in the color of vibranium, or why wasn't there more having some more mystic feeling to what you were seeing, as opposed to it's just another thing that's in the zeitgeist of what we're doing. Just it's there. This episode, okay, we got even with it being a color of like jade, if you will, like nothing mystical about it, and it didn't create any kind of like. I was like waiting for it to feel like everything would have to do with like boom, something happening. You might get a glimpse of space real quick or something, or something. Somebody get their block knocked off, and all of a sudden they're in a little dream sequence for a few seconds, and then they pop back into fighting again or something. It just never did anything, like that. So I was just kind of like, oh, well, I guess it's something I watched.
You know what? Too, and I can't even blame lack of promotion because Ironheart wasn't promoted, but it picked up steam really quick. And so I feel like this just doesn't. Word of mouth is one of the best ways a show can like pop off. And the reason nobody's talking about it is because the people like us that have watched it, we aren't encouraging people to go and watch it because we didn't really care for it. Not to say it was the worst thing we've ever seen from Marvel, but like for me, this didn't do anything for me. Like, yeah, the axe was great. Seeing that and putting two and two together, with Killmonger, Lord tying things together, world building is always great. But past that one little thing, I don't think that payoff was enough. Like just to go with Dr. J said, if these stories have been more cohesive and tied together and we built up to that point with the axe in the end, like if the axe had been the one artifact that they've been chasing throughout the whole 4 episodes and we get to that end and finally see the axe and we put that two and two together with Killmonger, maybe the payoff would have been a little bit more. And in retrospect, we would have looked back and then would have said, okay, well, this is great. But I feel like it just, I don't want to call it mediocre, but I feel like they really didn't put much. They didn't want this show to be a wild show. They said, let's just put something Wakanda. We'll put something Wakandan out. That's what it felt like.
I feel like that's what it was too. I definitely agree with everything you said, RJ. And Gerald mentioned something too earlier that I think you just mentioned as far as like going all the way back and with history. One thing I think they should have done, and RJ, you just mentioned too, that they could have went a little bit harder, overall, just with like especially in animation. So I think one thing that they're missing is that why didn't you guys introduce anything or mention, the Panther spirit or go into that, talk about something that is, a part of the Black Panther guys? Why didn't they go back in that time and talk and explain that or show us anything? The Panther spirit boss or something.
And a lot of people I know don't necessarily care for narration, but a lot of what they did, even though overall I've heard a lot of people say that a lot of stuff didn't work for them with What If, but if you would have had at least a narration to give some exposition to what was happening, maybe that could have been a vehicle to carry some of that information per episode. Now, I still think there should have been some loose tie-in. Now, I know there's a big span of time from like way back in like BC. I think the first 2 episodes were both BC, I think, and then the third one was AD, and then the last one was like 1800s or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And I remember them saying something to the effect of, and I can't remember exact, but I know the idea was, hey, if we don't do this now, the stuff that needs to happen won't happen.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it's like I knew they knew what they were saying when they put those lines in, but at the same time, why not show us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
say I think for me, what drew me to watch it? I was gonna watch it anyway, just because it was a black show on Disney Plus for me. But RJ said this maybe 10 recordings ago, and I feel like it reigns true, right? You can't just keep giving us kind of like the bare minimum with things, expect us to
Yeah,
continue to support just because the characters look like us, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
And um,
yeah, and I've struggled
I'm
with some
not
reviews over
saying,
that.
yeah, I'm not saying it was the bare minimum, but Ryan, this is attached to Ryan Coogler in some type of way. I'm like, he's a storyteller. We've seen it time after time. We've seen
Yeah.
him. That's so I don't know how much input he really had in or how it came about essentially, but I feel like it seems rushed. It was kind of like everyone had an episode idea and just give it to him, right? But
Yeah.
there was nothing else. It wasn't cohesive. I was kind of hoping there would have been 8 episodes to maybe draw everything back. Like I'm real big on it. You gotta make it make sense to me, right? You gotta give
Yeah.
me like an
Yeah.
ending, even if it's the last 5 minutes, how all these people aligned. I don't even care if it's just like a simple something like this is how all of them became great warriors at the end, following their own path or whatever it is. Like even going off of episode 1 where Noni, I think her name was like there's always more than one option to get to where you want to go. So even if it showed all the different paths and then they align at the end or whatever it could be.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just needed it to have just more synergy. And I just feel like it wasn't enough. I could see why people aren't talking about it. But for me, I was going to support anyway, right? I watched it twice. Hopefully that's enough.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great point because
Yeah.
I think all three of you have said this before so many times that the fact that just because it's a black show, yes, we'll support, but we want to praise things that are good, of course. But that goes for anything else. But I agree with what you said, Jay, because I think RJ is 100% right when it comes to this because we've seen so many times back to back. And it's not even just with black shows; it's with just stuff in DC, it could be Marvel or whatever universe, where there's a inconsistent path of growth in these movies and these shows that they don't really like. Either the writer doesn't come back, or just something's missing to the piece of the puzzle to where we notice things. It's like this isn't amped up like it was in the first, or this isn't what it could have been like, or this isn't how you do a sequel because you didn't really give us any more like an attachment to it, especially, and it just feels dry. And there's a lot of sequels and threequels that feel dry, and we're kind of tired of like that pattern where it starts off good and then they just lose that energy, like you were mentioning, Jay.
And if you have other,
But you know what, too? Oh,
no, real quick, I'm saying if you have other information that people can already find, like the other comics and different things like that, if you already have information available, you don't have to recreate the wheel. So
Exactly.
don't try to tell me a fresh story if there's already lore, if there's already a backstory, if there's already information that people don't read the comics can still go back and reference and be like, oh, now I know why they did that. But
Exactly.
then when you have somebody that knows the comics, a la Jay, they can say, well, this didn't have anything to do with anything that they have done in the comics. So it's
yes.
like how do we connect those two how do we combine those two worlds? And if you're just gonna act like the comics don't mean anything and you're just trying to tell us a fresh story, make it a good story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
I'll say this too. Like for me, what's going on, Alex? For me, I feel like it has to mean something. Like what Dr. J said, what is the reason we're watching this? And I think for me, once I got to the end of it, and even when I try to like rewatch here and there, my brain is going like, so you're consuming all of this media and this story. What does it mean in the long run? And I think that's kind of what makes it feel like they just kind of phoned it in. Is like we just want a Wakanda property out there. Let's just make it, put it out there, give the colors their just do so that we don't have, so they'll stop complaining. And so that's just kind of like what it felt like. That's just what it felt like. And so, like, don't get me wrong, like, I didn't hate it. I don't feel like it was a total waste of time. But in the grand scheme of things, like, I like to watch things that have meaning in the end. And so, like, somebody recommended a show for you to watch. It has 2 seasons, and then it gets canceled on a cliffhanger. Why am I watching this? And that's kind of what I felt about Wakanda. Well, I said Wakanda Forever. Eyes of Wakanda is it was an enjoyable watch. There were aspects of it that I did like. But in the grand scheme of things, is it something that y'all need to watch? No, you'll live.
I gotta say his last thing though. It's just as far as I think Gerald said something too about what if, like the Marvel's what if show, like stuff like that. It kind of feels like that. You're just in a playground where these artists and these writers can just go into and they can just do whatever they want. But like it's just for fun. It doesn't have like too much substance. It doesn't connect to anything. there's no type of like he mentioned, like Gerald just mentioned that they're taking these stories they're already existing and they're not using that to what they can introduce into these live action and animated shows. I think that there has to be more substance to everything that you do instead of just like if you're gonna create a new story, like Gerald mentioned, make sure yes that is good, but also don't do it in a way that you forget about the lore, because that kind of it doesn't destroy the lore, but it's kind of disingenuous to the project that you're trying to make people understand.
Yeah. It all boils down to like, did we need it? Did they need to make this? Was there a better way to make this? And yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully, going forward, they won't put out anything like this that doesn't matter. Which is another reason why I didn't watch What If. Like I watched like maybe 3 episodes. No, maybe two. No, I'm lying. I watched one and then a zombie episode, and that was that. Because I remember this was around the time when FTV was doing all the Marvel shows, and then when Hawkeye came, and I was like, yeah, we're taking a fucking break after Moon Knight. Like we're taking a fucking break, and so then. Yeah, it was yeah, and then it was like, oh, we'll come back for What If, and then I watched one episode of What If, and I was like, yeah, I think we'll just shut down.
I'll be real with you. I'll be 100% real with you. I have not watched. I watched one episode of season 2, and I kind of zoned out. Like I watched the first season.
I liked season 2. It had a crazy ending. So,
really?
Yeah, because the Watcher got involved. So
okay.
Yeah. So he actually intervened in something. So. Yeah. It was crazy.
Man,
so
I can't do it. Yeah, like, I hate watching stuff that's not going.
So I recommend if nothing else, even if you just want to, if you don't care to watch it, I'm gonna tell you, New Rockstars did a really good breakdown of it, and I like Eric Voss. He's a student of the game, but he did a really good job of breaking down the season 2. And so if you don't want to watch it, you could just put it on 1.5, 2, or whatever, and that part, it was entertaining to me from that perspective. I don't put a whole lot of stock in all the ulterior things that they do, but at the same time, it was still fun.
Yeah, I believe you.
I don't know. I may check out the episode with the Watcher, but other than that, like, What If? Like I think too.
And they all all the best ones somehow have Killmonger in them. So there's that.
I mean, yeah. But I feel like too, like being that Marvel has made us realize that everything is connected in some way, and I think that's kind of what my issue is with this is like the connection wasn't big enough to warrant a mini series. This could have been an end credit scene for some other bullshit, like, and we would have been just fine. They could have put this on What If, and it would have been fine.
Or if they were gonna tell those stories and not connect it to the MCU itself, that's fine. But just keep it all canonical with that particular IP, and just leave it in that bubble. Like that. That's what irks me about a lot of the projects. Everything don't have to lead to something else. It can be its own entity.
Yeah.
But you have to present it that way.
Exactly.
Just go ahead and present it that way. You know,
because now it feels like they took some aspects of it and it's like coded. It's like a coded show. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's fun and all, but it's like I would like something more out of that, like
yeah. And I don't want people to think that we're like genuinely hating, like, because we love black shows. We love black stuff over here. And it's like, but one thing I love about black people is that you can't just give us the bare minimum when we eat it up. We've never been mediocre as a people. Never. And so I think we expect our projects to reflect that. And I wanted a little more. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think we would do the folks that follow what we do and watch what we do. We wouldn't be serving justice to them by just pandering to everything that gets kind of tossed out there.
Yeah.
I think it's fair for us to give our fair critiques and give our fair praise to where we see things, and it don't have to be all black v black for us to just enjoy it. It don't. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you're right.
But at the same time, if y'all struggling with the medium giving it to us, and it's like y'all didn't even care enough to try to make us be on board.
Yeah.
Why do I have to force my joy about something if I didn't really connect with it?
Yeah.
Because even if they put a lot of money towards marketing, I would probably still feel this way.
Yeah.
If this is what they offer me.
Yeah.
And RJ said that too a while back. That he did. Like you said, you don't enjoy everything that's white. You don't enjoy everything that's black. It's just a matter of like, is this show good or not? Like, I'm gonna watch it if it's good. If it's not, then I'm not gonna watch it.
Right. And I struggle watching people that get on and they do that whole, oh, it was beautiful and it was this, and I was like, was it though? Was it
really?
Yeah.
Now I'll say this though. There were aspects of that animation that I do enjoy, but I feel like for the story that they were telling and the universe that it set, that animation probably wasn't the best choice. I would have probably have gone with maybe Dragon Prince season like 3 or 4 style animation.
Could be more bold stuff.
And that's a very expensive kind of like animation for something this small. The budget doesn't call for it. But in that case, I probably would have went with a flat 2D animation and just called it a day.
I agree. Because you gotta be specific when it comes to that type of, especially like you said, if it's short, you're trying to say like a quick story. Yeah, you gotta capture, that those 4 episodes really fast, especially if you want your audience to not zone out.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree.
Yeah.
It was a good show overall. Like you said, we love everything black. It's just that the things got to be good, and Hollywood needs to do better. And that's it.
Yeah, like I said, we tried, y'all. We tried, and it's just we don't hate it, but it's not something that we're telling y'all to run to Disney Plus and hit play on. There'll be other things, and there's better things to watch out there. So, but yeah, that is our opinion on Eyes of Wakanda, which is now streaming on Disney Plus. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. That being said, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Later days.
And Wakanda forever.
Forever, but this never.